What is up, everybody? So I'm headed out, do a little full combat catfishing. Things have really changed over the last week. Water temperatures jumped up quite a bit. We had a little bit of rain, not a little bit, a lot of rain last week, 5 inches of rain. Had lots of water moving through, and it seems like the catfish, both blues and channels, are coming off their beds, finished spawning. I think there's still some fish in there spawning of both species, but starting to see a lot of signs that those fish starting to move off the beds. And I was having a really difficult time catching channel catfish. I really don't even mess with the blue cat at all when they're spawning. Was having a difficult time catching any decent sized channel catfish. We'd go out, try to catch them, and they'd just be these little 6-inch fish, just one after another. But it seems like that's changed. And the past several mornings, we've put a lot of really good channel catfish in the boat. Been in a really hot bite, fishing a couple of different patterns. Came out this evening, and I haven't fished in the evening for catfish in several weeks, and done very well at all. I've tried it a few times, but just wasn't able to find the fish. So I'm hoping, because these fish have moved off their beds, that we're going to be able to find some. The wind is howling, so we've tucked out of the wind, and we're going to go up and fish in some really, really heavy cover, see if we can't catch some channel catfish. If this doesn't work, I've got another pattern that's working really well for us in the mornings. With the wind the way it is right now, it's blowing 20 plus, probably gusting to 30. I don't know if I can fish that pattern with the wind like this, or if I even have time before I lose my daylight. So I'm gonna get up here, see what happens, see if we can't find some fish. If this doesn't work out, then we'll go to plan B. So let's get started. I call Lane the silent fisherman. All right. Because you just catch fish, you don't ever make a noise. Here, I'll hold it and you go get the pliers. First one, I got schooled. He put it on me. I missed the first bite. Ooh. There's all sorts of, this is some thick, nasty water. There's all sorts of hang-ups and stuff in here. There's really not anywhere you can cast where there's not a stick or a limb or brush or something. And you can see there's all sorts of plants and cattails, different vegetation up in here. Lots of bugs all over the surface of the water, and it's got cover, it's got shade, it's got food source with all these bugs and everything in here. And I've been wearing them out in the mornings fishing up here. I mean, it didn't really matter anywhere that you went. If you got up in this vegetation, you would catch fish. And I was a little bit worried coming out in the evening, because the water is a lot hotter, in the evenings. And it was pushing 100 degrees today, and that water warms up over the course of the day, and I was afraid that it would push them out. And it's clearly, at least so far, it's moved some fish, because they're not in here like they were. Now that may just be that they're not in this one specific location, like they were. But when I pulled up here the other day, in this exact same area, we probably caught 16, 17 just good solid channel catfish, and maybe 1 or 2 that were short. Didn't keep any fish, but they were in here, and in here thick. Here we go. See it hitting again. There we go. That wasn't a tiny one. Look at that. Oh, he's going underneath the tree. Oh, man. Oh, shit, man. That is a big channel cat. Oh, man. You got it? Grab the fish if you can. I got it. Don't fall in. Don't got it. There's no way I can get out of here now. That's all right here. I think the hook's in there pretty good. Ah, son of a gun. Now, so again, there's a lot of places in the country where this would not be a big deal. Trying to make sure I got my scales teared out here. But this is a big channel cat for Texas. You don't catch a whole lot of them like this. Like almost 6 pounds. I caught one a couple years ago, about 5 or about 9, just a little over 9, and it was a couple ounces shy of the lake record, but that's a great fish. I'm going to get it back in the water here. I should have moved the boat in about 3 more feet, but fish. You don't have to lift it up out of there. Oh! Oh my gosh. Man, that braid burns when running through your fingers. Oh. Lane's on another one there. Another good fish. Fish is making a noise. He never makes a peep, man. You just turn around and he'll have a fish in. There we go. Finally got it out. Man, that fish is feisty. Look at that. Good solid box fish. Here we go. Here comes one. Oh, man. that is a male channel cat. So he's got that great big old head and skinny body. He doesn't have any meat on him. So I'm just going to show you real quick the way I've rigged up to fish like this. It's super simple. I'm using my 7'6" Chad Ferguson Signature Series Whisker Seeker rod. This is the medium heavy, the GFX rod. I like to use the GFX when I'm fishing like this because it's got the trigger on the rod, graphite reel seat. That trigger just makes it more comfortable for me holding a rod like this for long periods of time fishing, and I prefer this combo for this type with, again, the medium heavy power rod. I'm running 35-pound Whisker Seeker braided line on here, and again, you use that braid so you can pull those hooks free when you get hung up, and so you can really horse those fish out in that cover. I've just got a plain old slip bobber rig on here. It's nothing fancy. The hook is tied directly to the braided line. There's no swivel or anything. I've got a split shot sinker just above the hook. This one has been pushed down from catching fish, but you just put it up, about like that. Just enough weight to make that bobber stand up. This is 35-pound Whisker Seeker braid. This is actually the old green braid before they even had any orange. It's been on here for years. And then just a little slip bobber. If I'm fishing out in open water, I'll use those really nice Whisker Seeker slip bobbers, but fishing up in this nasty stuff like this, you lose a lot of tackle. So I just use these little cheap foam slip bobbers like this. And then I've got a little bobber stop. This is going to be really hard to see, but there's a bobber stop on here, just a little rubber bobber stop. That's what keeps that slip bobber from going up too far, and you adjust that depth. And this is just an Abu Garcia 5500 C3 reel, smaller than those 6500s that I use, fishing for blue cat. You don't need as much line capacity for this. It's a smaller reel, it's more lightweight, it's easier to hold for long periods of time. But it's super, super simple. You don't have to have anything fancy to fish like this. The key is the three essential things. One, make sure you use those 4X strong treble hooks. If you use cheap treble hooks, you'll go through 4 times as many hooks than buying the more expensive 4X strong treble hooks. Make sure you use that braid. 35-pound works perfect. Don't try to do this with monofilament because you'll regret it. And then the rod, making sure that you have a good rod that's got a good backbone on it, that's light enough to be able to hold. I never sit the fishing rod down when I'm fishing like this. You want to make sure it's got enough oomph to it that you can rip those fish out of that heavy cover, but that is light and sensitive enough that you can hold it for long periods of time. But it's nothing fancy. Super, super simple setup. Now, we caught pretty good number of fish, missed a few fish, lost a few right at the side of the boat. Didn't do nearly as well as I'd hoped, and certainly not as well as we've been doing fishing in the mornings, but it was pretty much non-stop action every place we stopped. I moved one last place here just a minute ago. It was a little shallower than the other areas that I was fishing, and it was a little further off the beaten path. Wasn't any wind moving back there or anything, and we didn't catch a fish back there, didn't get a bite, but we only stayed there about 5-6 minutes. But everywhere else that I stopped, even some places that I didn't show on video, we caught fish everywhere we stopped. Sometimes it was just 3 or 4 or 5. Had a couple places where we stopped and we caught quite a few fish and fished for quite a while. I can't complain at all. Good action, really good quality channel catfish, at least for Texas. Again, I know, getting excited about a 6-pound channel cat is probably silly for a lot of people. I know, getting excited about a 6-pound channel cat is probably silly for a lot of people. But like I said, I've said many times before, we don't have big channel catfish in most lakes in Texas. Now, there are some exceptions, but it's been a while since I've caught a 6-pound channel cat. We can go out a lot of times and catch 100 that are 1 to 2 pounds, but getting size can be extremely difficult. I'm really pleased just overall with the quality of fish that we caught. Could have caught more, but it was a lot of action, definitely worth the trip. So I'm going to get in and get the boat cleaned up, get scrubbed up, ready to go, and that's it. Make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that bell notification icon, and then go down below, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're fishing for right now and what the biggest channel catfish you've ever caught is. I'd like to hear from you. I know a lot of you have caught a whole lot bigger channel catfish than a 6 pound. And I've caught some pretty big ones too. I got a great story about that. I'll tell you some other time. So I'll be back next week. Till next time, I'm Chad Ferguson, Catfish Edge. And
tight lines, big slime. Tight lines, big slime. Done.
whack 'em and stack 'em.
Whack 'em and stack 'em. Reel 'em in, Harold.